Ready? Okay, so for this class and for the next few classes before I go on holiday, so it's maybe another 3 classes, I want to go back and review some of the key things that we've been looking at so that you can have them fresh in your minds and bodies and take them with you on holiday. And so we've been doing yoga together online for almost a year and a half. And so some of the really beginning things that I introduced, I feel very you can then use as a language that you're learning to speak, rather than feeling like you have to learn all these poses and until you learn them, you're not going to be able to do yoga or have a movement practice. It's really not like that at all. You're the expert of your own body, and you can develop a practice that suits you by learning what some of the basic things are to human beings with bodies in gravity, on a ground, in a world. And the first thing we began to work with was the sense of our own body weight. Now, the sense of our own body weight has 3 parts to it. First, there's what we sense, and we have very different perceptions of what we sense and whether we think we're heavy or light and so on. But definitely we sense our own body weight. So if you close your eyes, just close your eyes. If you feel wobbly, you can go to a wall and put your hand against the wall or the sofa, but just close your eyes and just feel into the way that you are in your weight on your feet. And now weight could be many things. So you could, if weight works for you, think weight. If water works for you, think that you're full of water. If the word heavy works for you, or the word on the ground works for you, or custard, or good Bavarian beer works for you, whatever it is that gives you, opens up for you what you know heaviness to be like. So you want to just feel into your own heaviness and work. For me, very often, I feel at least something in my bottom and my legs, but not always immediately in other places. So your eyes are closed and just sense in. How is it that you sense that you are heavy, and where and what? So my right foot, it feels like it's receiving more of my weight than my left foot. In fact, it feels like from my hip all the way down my right leg, there's a waterfall of heaviness. And in my upper arms and shoulders, and a little bit the back of my head. So this may be different for you. This may be different for you. Okay, most of us are squeezing too much somewhere in our bodies. We call this tension. Very often it's linked to the jaw. So if you just close your teeth tightly and close your eyes, squeeze your eyes a little bit, close your teeth, and then hold your breath a little bit or breathe shallow and squeeze your bum a little bit. Yeah, and just notice, what is that doing to my sense of being free in my own weight? It's changing it. We do this all the time. We do it when we're nervous in a conversation with someone else or in a situation. We stop the body because actually it makes us feel like we're not heavy. In fact, we're not here. If someone was pointing a gun at you, that's exactly what you would do. You would become incredibly still to survive. But we do a mini version of that all day long, and all of us in different ways, often in relation to the breath, the anus, and the jaw. We were taught at school to be kind of still like that also. Okay, so let go. Hopefully you let go earlier than this. Yeah, let the breath move. And now I want to propose the opposite. I would like you just to rock very gently from one foot to the other foot. Very easy, very small, very delicious. Like I would do this in a lovely breeze or under a tree or at the beach. Yeah. Or in bed, we move around because we feel good. Yeah. When we feel good and safe, we move around a bit. Unfortunately, as kids, we are told at school that this is not good, that we should shut up and sit still and close our mouths. But this kind of natural rocking, this pendulating or oscillating, is something that humans and animals, mammals, do when they feel safe and well. And in fact, it's linked to being here. Just feel into this. Very often our stomachs start to gurgle. Yeah, because we're allowing ourselves to move and to be visible to others, to be visible to the surroundings. Great, and now you can stop rocking obviously on your feet, but just allow yourself to notice that we rock anyway. And now let's just move the head a little bit from side to side, or a little bit from ear to ear, and side to side again, or little circles with your nose. So when we move the head on an even bigger level, do we feel the sense of weight? This is linked to the inner ear system. The vestibular system of the ear is actually the organ of gravity. So when we move the head, it's like we stand in a waterfall of weightedness. Let your jaw hang open, for example, as you drop your head back. Just letting the sound out. Weightedness. This is the first component of how we know our sense of weight, how we feel it, how we sense it. I won't go into the next two, but linked to that is whether we like it or not. So this is the percept. I feel my foot, I feel my shirt, I feel my arms, the percept. But linked to that is affect. Do I like my sense of weight or not? And that's very often there's a cultural component to this. Affect, how does it feel? How does it feel? And then, of course, there's content. There is a story. I bring a story with me to my weight. If I had problems with my weight as a child, if I was a fat boy and people bullied me, or I wanted to be on the soccer team and they said I was too, all that, or too light. So there's also a story, but basically the body is a river of sensations, which then we say, I don't like. And then there's a story around that. And that can often block us in terms of a movement practice from feeling the full reality of what it means to be a quite heavy human being on the ground here. So for me, a wonderful movement practice begins here, not with ideas, not with good posture, but here, being here in my weight. It's something we all have. We can unpick the funny bits, no, but it's what we bring to situations. And we've been standing. But if you sit down with your legs in front of you and your hands behind you, and you just take a moment to feel into this weightedness, it'll be different, but it's still your weight. Your weight on the scale hasn't changed at all. But it's different because we're orienting to the ground and we're in gravity in a different way. So just wobble your legs. Wobble your legs and just feel. Yeah. Very good. Just feel, where is the weight going now? And look around the room. And as you start to settle into your sense of weight, what happens? Does the relationship change with the space, with the time of day, with the problem you were dealing with that emotional thing? One of the big discoveries about a yoga practice or a movement practice is that when we slow down enough to connect with our river of sensation, we actually discover how healing this is. Normally, we're rushing around and we don't want to go there because we feel like we're going to touch a monster. But actually, when we slow down, we discover that it's not that way. Our bodies are our best friends. And that river of sensorial life begins to hold the problem or the pain or the loss or that thing that happened. But we don't know that until we practice it, and we're not taught to do that. We're taught to hold our breath and run away and cope. So let's try something else. Let's lie down on our backs and just let yourself be on the ground. If you do lots of yoga or movement, don't worry about doing anything right, anything correctly. Just lie on the floor and just feel, so where does my weight go now? Is my head more heavy than my bum? Am I more on the left side or the right side of my body? Is something feeling like it's levitating? Is everything on the ground? Does the ground feel horizontal or is it tipping to one side? Like for me, it feels like the ground is tipping to the left. And my right foot feels higher than my left foot. So just notice. But in a very quiet and sweet way, you're just noticing the weightedness of your body on this ground. And again, just letting your head wobble from side to side. And remembering that moving the head begins to really allow yourself to stand in the river or the waterfall or the ocean of weight. Hi, Henriette, just grab a mat. No worries. Okay, so that was the first vocabulary we played with, and you could play forever, just exploring this when you're in a tense situation, exploring it when you're on holiday, when you're by yourself, when you're in a crowd, when you're doing something very detailed, when you're just walking or going for a jog. The sense of my weight and how am I in my weight on this ground in this world? Now, very quickly and very usually, as we relax into weight, we begin to notice the expanse and the rocking ocean of our breath. And you should never do your breath. You shouldn't really correct your breath. You should not try to breathe in your belly. These are all concepts. The whole body always breathes. The chest and the belly breathe together in ordinary daily life. We get more belly breathing when we are digesting and going to sleep, and we get more chest breathing when we're rushing, running, sprinting to catch the bus. That's all. But otherwise, the body breathes as a whole. So as you lie on the floor, just allow yourself, in your heaviness, just to notice the breath, how it goes in, how it goes out, and where does it go? I mean, obviously it goes in the lungs, but you don't need to feel that way. If you feel like you're breathing into your feet or the front of your face or into your bottom, that's fine. If your hands are breathing, that's fine. Where does the breath go? Where does the breath go? And just stay very open and creative. Does the breath come into your belly button? Does the breath come into your feet? Does it come into your nose? And how does it go out? You know, of course it goes out of your nose or your mouth, but maybe you feel it pours out of your back. So the weight, the waterfall of the weight, and the freedom, pendulous oscillation of the breath. And are you breathing or are you being breathed? Is the world breathing you? And again, we're going to close the teeth very tightly, squeeze the tongue, squeeze the eyes, squeeze the feet and hands and the anus, and hold your breath. And just hold and see what that's like. What do you get from doing this? And then let go. And when you let go, what's it like? What's the difference? Wonderful, 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 wonderful. So bend your left leg, bend your right leg, put your feet flat on the ground. And we're going to take those two first vocabularies, that we can sense our weight, that we are weighted beings. And the second one, that in our weightedness, we're breathing. We're breathing. These are chronic things, constant things, being heavy and breathing. And now we're going to begin to move the spine. And the first thing we need to discover that the spine can do as part of the grammatical sentence we're going to make with weight and breath is initially we know that the spine bends forward and it bends backwards in relation to where my eyes are. So let's just bend the spine forward by bringing the knees towards your chest. And then put one foot over the other foot and just lift your head up. Just lift your head up. And so you just curl your spine forward. Enjoy the effort. And then release the head back down. And release the feet. Take your time, take your time. Stay heavy, but roll onto the front of your body. Take your time. Roll onto the front of your body. And now just explore bending the spine or the trunk backwards. You can, for example, lift your head, or even lift your head and put your elbows under you and just feel. Feel in my weight as I breathe. I'm bending my spine backwards and enjoy that. If you bend your legs at the knees, that increases the sense of bend in the lower back, in the lumbar vertebrae. So just feel that. You could put your hands on the floor and push even higher. So just play with that. And coming back down. Wonderful. So I don't want you to do the next thing. Yeah, take your time. And I would like you just to take your time to take in that the first course, we were tasting, the waiter brought us a plate full of weight, and we were tasting that. And the second course, the waiter brought some breathing champagne, and we were tasting that. And then we just did this very simple movement, bending forward and bending back. And just take a moment by yourself just to quietly reflect on those four things, just for a moment. Yeah, just very simply, very simply. I was touching into my sense of weight, that I am a weighted person in a world. You know, that's why we use that language so much in our lives. Can I lean on you? We say if we want to go to a friend and we want to share a problem with them. It's a weight. It's a weight metaphor. Can I lean on you with this problem? Or somebody else comes and they dump all over you. And we say, hey, you're dumping all of this on me. It's a weight. Or someone makes you very happy and you say, you made me feel so light. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when you're ready, Henriette, you can come back. Yeah. So these four things, I think, are very profound and they are very linked together because they are developmental. A little baby in the mother's womb is in a kind of interesting gravity place, but when the baby leaves the holding of the mother's womb, it leaves the container of the mother and it finds itself in its own weight. And then and it has to breathe, otherwise it's going to die. And babies then begin to do two really interesting movements, which I want us all to play with. And this is what they are. Have a look at me. Babies begin to separate the lower body from the upper body. They do this very, very early on after they've finished making opening and closing movements because they have to activate the central tendon of the diaphragm and develop it for breathing. So we see that babies in their cots start to do this with their legs and they reach for toys. And what they're doing is they're active. This is rooting, this is heavy, but they begin to make an active movement this way or this way. And there is a moment in pediatric development where the baby does it even stronger by lifting its back. And we see that it's able to make this movement. Okay, so I just want you to play with that for a moment and we'll see why that's really important. So you can be quite wild, you know, you can throw your legs around and breathe and let the legs move on the floor, up in the air. You can move your arms around. But when you move your legs, try to be very heavy upstairs. And when you move your arms, try to be very heavy downstairs. Yes. And that's it. More, beyond your shoulders, Pia. Yeah. You can do this on your side. You can do it on your stomach. Yeah. More, yeah. Yes. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Breath. Turn on your side. You can make sounds. You can roll. Yeah. Try not to just stop in your hips or shoulders, but try to make the movement. That's it. So you're making very heavy in the legs and moving the upper body, or very heavy in the upper body and move. That's it. And moving the legs. And you can make some sound. I think that's helpful. Yeah, breath, 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 easy. Very nice. And then coming back. Yeah. Just take a moment just to feel and to enjoy, or whatever it was you were thinking about what we just did. And just let it in. Yeah. It's amazing how much rain. Isn't that incredible? Just the breath and just, oh, so I was really moving the upper body. I was really moving the lower body. I was using my weight to root one end while the other end was moving. And of course, it's changing my breath. One, sit up, and let's add the next piece. Okay, so this is really, I hope this is interesting, but it's really important because in the development of a human being, we see the development of our capacity to move weight around, which eventually becomes a joint. So the very first thing we do as little children, once we leave the being held by the mother and we're responsible for our own weight, watch my hands, is we begin to make this separation, and look at our biology. In fact, apart from the spine, we do not have bones that connect. Imagine if I had a bone that connected my ribs to my pelvis, or a bone. We actually have we have ribs, but then we have these muscular bones, which allow for adaptability and movement. Why? Because I'm always wanting to negotiate this, which is up and down. And this is the first joint, the first articulation that we make as human beings. We learn to root down so that we can lift up. And that's what babies learn when they sit on their bums and then on their knees and then they get up on the wall, and they are starting to learn this. But this is very important for our deep human functions, fermentation, breathing, etc. This separation. Well, in the yoga poses, you can see that this is exactly where yoga starts. It starts with standing, and then the next thing that is proposed is that we take a step, which we're going to do, and then we lift the arms. Why? Because when I lift the arms, I actually lift my rib cage off my pelvis. And look at me. Most human beings are not like that. They're like this. This is either too far forward or too far back, and and the heart is squashed, and the stomach organs are not working well. And then the grandmother or the teacher says, hey, you have bad posture. So we go, oh my God, and then we do that. But we didn't change this at all. It's just another kind of stress. So what's wonderful in yoga is we have mountain pose, which is feet and above, and then we lift the arms. Just play with that. And then we have triangle pose, which is feet and above, and then we lift the arms again. And it's this, the arms are linked to the function of the face and the life. Look, she's lifting, yeah. And the life of the breastbone, yeah. So like if I was waiting for Henriette at the airport, and she comes around the corner, I wouldn't go, oh, there's Henriette. I would go, like that. I would naturally lift my arms, or lift the arms of my eyes, yeah. So that's it. So we're just going to lift, and then we're going to just let the body turn. Yeah. Yeah. And these are the triangle poses, the trikonasanas of yoga. And unfortunately, it gets also technical and stiff that people don't realize what they're doing. But that's it. Look, you can see that the ribs are lifting, right? It's very beautiful. Yeah. And so we start to free the sleeve of the body, but we also start to move the deep inside of the body. And yoga is always asking, because it's a very refined system, that it's the inside that is saying yes, and the outside is saying okay. Not the outside is forcing the inside. That's it. Beautiful. And you can let your arms swing even more, and then step with the other foot and let your arms swing. That's it. That's it. And of course, we look up, you know, we look up, we look down, arms swing up, arms swing down. We are throwing the net of our awareness over the Lake of Galilee. Yeah, beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, very nice, very nice. So if we take one step back, I was saying, apart from this lifting thing, that the most obvious movement that we see of the spine of the human being is that I bend forward because I want to grab that thing, or open the fridge, or I bend back because I'm fixing something up there. So I bend back or I bend forward. But if I'm collapsed, then when I bend forward, I'm actually causing disorganization in the depth of the body, at the level of the vertebral bodies and their discs and all the ligamentous bed of the body, because the body doesn't actually know what to do anymore. But if instead I have roots and I have branches and I'm rooting and lifting, and then I bend, something very rich happens in all the layers of the body. Okay, and this is a problem because people think, well, my grandmother said I have bad posture, plus I don't have good hamstrings because I'm a jogger, you know, so I'm going to do like this. And before they know it, they get an injury because there's no lift. It's all compression. It's all an idea. And then it's the hospital right there. Yeah, so now, so we're going to put the weight and the breath and the lifting and the fact that we can play with where we put our weight as we pay attention to the breath. We're going to start moving the spine front and back. And we're going to start on our hands and knees. So we've done this lots of times in these classes. So we're reviewing these key things. Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is just start to feel the weight of your belly button and the skin around the belly button. Relax the belly button like it's opening. And then feel inside the skin the weight of the water and the organs and the lunch. Yeah. And really relax the belly open like the whole belly button is opening. And of course, what happens is the whole world of your belly organ starts to hang. Imagine that your heart is hanging forward, that your lungs are hanging. Let everything hang towards the ground, hang towards the ground, hang. And normally when we let go, the tail goes up. That's kind of normal. But the head may still be hanging down or the head may have come up. That really depends on how you like to do things. Great. Now just wake up your hands and your knees and your toes, wake them up, and begin to just very gently push into the ground and feel like there's this push which is arriving in your belly and pushing you upwards. So now your spine and organs and belly wall are all going up towards the sky. You don't need to squeeze. Yeah. Yeah. And now your tail is hanging down and your head is hanging down. And now we're going to relax everything again. And we're going to be hanging all the way. Just let it all relax. Good. Great. Great. Again, letting the tail be very heavy, letting the head be very heavy. A gentle push from the hands and the knees, or imagining that there's a bowl filling with air under you, or that the sky has got hold of the skin of your back and it's lifting you, and we start to go in the other direction. Don't look at the shape, don't squeeze anything, just heavy head, heavy tail, arching in the other direction. Breath
And then we come back to the middle, just letting things go, letting things go. Okay. So let your elbows come to the floor. So your tail is now higher than your head. And if you can, if this makes sense to you, if you would lean back a little bit into your bum so that your bum is a little bit behind your knees and your upper leg is not perpendicular to the floor. It's just slightly angled back. Don't go too. Come to the ground, move your arms out of the way. So you have your bum in the air and your head on the floor. And just let your spine hang through completely. If it bothers your shoulders, this is not good. So widen your arms. If one shoulder is really very bothered, you can tuck it under your chest. But widen your arms and relax. Allow your neck to bend so it's not on the top of your forehead, it's more towards your nose. And you're really allowing the whole spine to release into this back bend. Yeah. And let go, let go, let go completely. Don't worry, you're not going to injure your back. This is very healthy for all the vertebrae of the spine and for the sacrum. And it's a movement that we're losing because we're so looking at our iPhones all day. Just let go completely. Let yourself be very heavy on your elbows. And the breath and the sense of weight. Every organ has its own weight as it hangs from the spine. The liver, the heart, whatever. Hanging and just letting yourself go into this direction. And as you do, your tail is blossoming out into the space, and you discover, this is one of the first gifts of yoga, is that you are developing a squirrel's tail. The sign of a yogi is that they have the squirrel's tail. Is it too strong, Henriette? Or is
on my shoulders a little bit. Is it okay?
Yeah, so some days it can be. What you could do, try this.
It may not be the right thing for now, but look, come up. Try just, no, with your chest, yeah. Is it too high? Might be just a little too high. Let me take one out. So it will let you, it'll support you and help you not be, yeah, how's that?
I think it's better.
Yeah. Great. Great, just take your time. Take your time, and in a moment you're just going to come down. Okay. Wonderful. And then coming up slowly. Yeah, and you can sit up on your knees or sit on your bum, whatever's comfortable. How was that? Yeah. So it's nice, Henriette, if you listen to how that's going to be different from day to day. Yeah. Okay, so just have a look. So we were here
And we let things hang, and then we let things float up, and we could see, you know, that the head can drop and so on. And then we went here, and then we let ourselves drop away into this. Yeah. This is very profound because as the spine hangs, the whole deep front of the spine begins to lengthen and open. This is not something you can push, but eventually you can push yourself into a back bend. But if you have learned to open quietly at this deep level, that's huge. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that in this position, the back of the pelvic floor starts to relax and open here where the coccyx is, between the coccyx and the anus. All of those very powerful muscles which are squeezing and holding and protecting, they start to release because they widen. So what I'd like you to do now is to include the toes, bend the toes and hook them into the ground. And really feel that your bended, hooked toes are part of doing what you're doing, being where you are. So you have this huge tail, you're releasing the back of the floor of the pelvis, you're letting the anus settle, you're letting the whole front of the spine release, all the way to the head. Now you're not going to lose your squirrel's tail, but you're going to develop antlers, the bones of a deer coming out of your head, beautiful antlers or branches. So you have a big head space, and your antlers are going to start going forward. So you're starting to come up on your elbows, and then from your elbows onto your hands. Yeah. And then you keep coming forward with your toes bent, and we're not making shapes. We're separating below from above. And we're letting the spine lengthen as we breathe, and we're beginning to arch. We're going forward like that, yeah. Arch, don't force. Yeah, all the way through. And the antlers take the head up, and you feel that you're opening your chest. You can even turn your hands out slightly. That's it, and you're coming up, and there's length. And now watch me, we just go back, but my tail is leading me. My tail is leading me as I go back to here. And then my head is leading me as I come forward again, my head forward onto my hands, and through and through and through and through. Yeah. One more time. So we're here. Yeah. We're not shaping the middle of the body. We're separating the hips from the shoulders, the legs from the arms, the head from the tail. And now we're going back with the tail. We can let it speed up until the head is on the ground. And then we push from the toes and we reach with the head as we come through again, and the head comes up. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So don't worry about the shape. Just watch me just flow back. See, if I do it from my tummy, then I do this, right? So we're not doing that because that's shortening up and down. We're just flowing back and then flowing forward. And then flowing forward. Yeah, and let's make a sound as you go back. And sound as you go forward. So don't hold the breath. Back and forward. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then as you come forward, be very long. And now we're going to reach back with the right heel. So the right knee comes off the floor. Back with the left heel. So both of my knees are off the floor. Now watch me. So we're not doing a sit up like that. We're just very long heels, very long head. Your pelvis can be higher, Henriette. And we can talk to each other. How are you today? Geht's gut?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're holding, then you can hear it in the voice, and then we start to tremble. But if you're not holding, just heels going miles back, head going miles forward. We put the knees on the floor. We go back to the first one, and we push from the toes, and we come through. That's it. And then the heel, and then the other heel. There we go. Now, we're going to bend the knees slightly, and it's like our bum is taken upwards. Stay on your toes. And we go way up, letting the head drop through. Way, way up, pelvis, sit bones, hands. Way up, all the way through. Yeah. That's it. Don't look at the shape, but be on your big toe. Yeah. So really feel your big toe. That's it. Really feel the big toe. Yeah. And really be way up on the toe so that you're really bending them. And you can bend your knees a little bit, just a little. That's it. There. Do you feel? That's beautiful. So you have big hands, soft knees, very bended toes. This is great. And you're flying. This is the Flying Dutch Woman. The Flying Dutch Woman. It's a new yoga pose. The Flying Dutch Woman. And free. Wonderful. Wonderful. And then come down. And come down. Come down. Beautiful. 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 Yeah. So, back bending the spine. It's a very, very deep movement. It's not, as kids, this is how we did back bends. Do you remember? We put our feet like that, and then we went like this. No? And then we went to the floor, but nothing is long. Everything is just compressed, right? But we, as we get older and we realize, wow, I need to, for the health of my heart and my belly and my vertebrae and my brain, my feet, I want to lengthen. So we learn to make that movement in. And that's what this very passive looking thing teaches us to do. It addresses the tension in here, and then it allows the whole spine to drop through. And it's marvelous. It's marvelous. So now we're going to lie on our backs and do the opposite. So when you lie on your back with your legs bent, you're doing the opposite of a back bend. You're doing a very sophisticated, hidden, mild, delicious front bend. So just enjoy the sense of weight and the pendulum of the breath. And let your organs sink down towards the spine and your ribs. Let your face relax away from the front, like you're sinking away from the front of your face. Just letting the feet sink into the ground and the arms. And let's just let the head wobble from side to side, very easy, very heavy, free, nothing complicated. It's like you're pouring something warm and heavy into one ear and then into the other ear. You're pouring weight into one ear and then the other ear. Big, small, fast, slow. Big feet on the ground. The breath, the weight, the separation of up and down, of hips and shoulders, of chest and pelvis. Okay, so we're just going to put the arms across the chest like I'm doing, just like this. Right across, right across. So one hand goes all the way around to the shoulder blade, and the other hand goes all the way around to the shoulder blade. And the head is heavy, and the arms are heavy on the chest, and just enjoy that. It may limit your breathing a bit, but it's fine. Very heavy arms. And just let your spine sink into the ground. Now, as you lie there, you start to notice that your tail is growing towards the sky. As the tail wants to go towards the sky, the feet become active, the lower back sinks into the ground, and your tail starts to lift off the ground. And if you can, keep going. So your whole pelvis starts to lift off the ground. And then one by one, you know, the whole of the spine, all its vertebrae coming up, but your arms are on your chest. And just keep traveling up. Huge feet. Keep rolling up through the spine. Rolling up through the spine. Rolling up through the spine. And then rolling back down. Rolling, rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Release. Release. And drop your arms to the floor. Okay, tail is going up again, feet are very awake, arms are at your sides, the whole spine is following vertebra by vertebra as you go flying higher and higher and higher. You can go higher and higher. Try not to lift your spine as a stick. You can, if you watch me, I'll show you. You want this is a stick. This is a stick. You see, this remains like a stick and I lift my spine. Right? Like Jane Fonda exercises. But if you let your tail lead you, then the spine hangs down as the tail goes up. So it's like this. And when you're at the very top, let the arms go up into the sky. Keep going up, keep going up, keep going. And then drop the arms over your head onto the floor. Keep going up, widen them if it bothers your shoulders. Heavy, keep going up, and then leave your arms there as you come back down, just little by little. Don't force anything. Don't force anything. Coming back down, coming back down, coming back down, coming back down. All the way, big feet, heavy, alive. Open across the chest. This is going to be a very new position for the body. Having come down from here, you'll have mobilized the upper ribs. Just enjoy the newness and lie there. We'll stop in a moment. If you need to widen your arms, just do, you know. Let's come back to the sense of weight on this ground, in this world, at this moment of the day. Just the weight. And the weight opens the door in your and you notice how the wind is blowing.